I'd like to talk to you today about self-rising flour bread and biscuits. I've been trying to figure out the very bare minimum basic recipe I can do for sort of like a Turkish flatbread, Middle East flatbread, and also that I could use for biscuits. And it came down to self-rising flour and a little bit of water. So I just want to go through those steps here. You'll need a cup of flour and a tablespoon of salt to make your self-rising flour. You just need to mix it together. Some people say you need to sift it, but that works. And then you add water until you can get it into a ball and mix it until you can get it into a ball. Then flatten it out on a covered, flour-covered table a little bit, and maybe knead it once or twice and then flatten it out. And then here for this presentation, I'm only cooking it in a skillet on the stove top with some oil or fat. One time I'm using bacon fat, and another time I'm using olive oil. So either way works. And in addition, you can add other ingredients. Like in the pictures online, you'll see I added some dill and a little popcorn butter salt to see how that did on these. So let's go ahead and see how the next one looks. Here I put a cup of flour with the salt. You can see the salt shaker off to the side. And I kept a little flour out to put on the board so that for any kneading that I needed to do. And over here I got my spatula for my skillet. Pretty basic ingredients. All that I don't have in this picture is about a cup of water, and I don't think I even used a cup. I just put a little in at a time until I got the consistency I wanted. And then I had to roll it out and use a little flour on the outside of the dough because it was a little wet in my case. But it worked out really well and only took a few minutes. So let's go to the next slide. Here you can see where I sprinkled some of the flour down and put some on the dough so it wouldn't stick to my hands. And I just started kneaded it a few times and smashed it flat. And then what I do is I use you can get these small tins of mushroom pieces and stems. Took the paper wrapper off, and I cut both ends out, and I use that as my muffin cutter or biscuit cutter. Alright, so now you flatten it out. And if you're going to do it in a skillet, I also started using my 5-inch skillet, and I would put one of these in the bottom of the 5-inch skillet, measure it out, smash it down, and then I would basically make flatbread. Again, with these basic ingredients. I've done it with adding a little bit of yeast, a little bit of sugar, and a little more salt, and it makes it puff up a little more, but it's still a flatbread. Okay, next. Here they are, and when I picked them up, since I didn't let them rest long once I cut them out, I picked them up and they sort of deformed a little bit. But here I have them in my 8-inch Lodge skillet, 8-inch in the base, Lodge skillet about 10 inches in the top. And I got it on medium-high, and I'm just cooking them, and I peek underneath every now and then to see if they're starting to brown. And then once they get a little golden brown, then I turn them over, and you can see here the dill and popcorn butter salt didn't do much. The dill did, but everything else did not. Alright. Here they are done. Golden brown. Some people say a little burnt there. I say hey, golden brown, browner. But they're very edible, and I enjoyed them. A little bit of butter, especially while they're warm. And a couple of them here look a little doughy. They weren't. They were just past doughy. They were finished, but unique experience. And I have no problem making them some other time for breakfast. Only I think I'll go ahead and just slap the whole thing in the bottom of a pan and tear off little chunks at a time. In this pan one that I didn't do with biscuits, I just flattened it out and threw it in a pan, my 5-inch pan. I didn't shape it this time too well, but it worked pretty well, and it's got a nice taste. My wife and I like just tearing the bread apart. So this is my quick bread. Very few ingredients. All you really need is clean water, the two ingredients, salt and flour. And if you have a cast iron skillet or other skillet, that's great. You will need a small fire, a camp stove, and fuel to cook this. And a small mixing bowl will be needed along with tools. Like I used a Rubbermaid spatula. You can use a wooden spoon or anything else. And you could use a flipper in your skillet, or you could just use your spoon or spatula or your fingers. That's basically it. Coming up, I'm going to do some on Dutch oven basics, mainly for survival situation. You have power out and stuff at home. What do you do? Sanitation, how do you do that once the water's gone? How do you get clean water? And more. A couple simple presentations with PowerPoints, and then record them like I did here. That's the rule. Hopefully this is helpful.